Okay, now I want to talk about the loops, chapter 4. Again, because you're coming from your CS2 course, you should know these things. We're just going to quickly go over it to see how we're going to do it in Python. So the concept is not talking about loop, is how we're going to apply loops in the Python. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about while loop, for loop, and how we're going to do those things in Python. So the while loop, again, remember, we are going to be using colon for Python. So we would put the word while in there, and then we check the condition. And if the condition is correct, we're going to go in. Remember, for the while loop, we have to do set, check, and change. So set is we're gonna set it somewhere. Otherwise, we might not even go inside of these things. So we have a target that is defined as a constant. So we have to have some value in here before we do it. Excuse me. Then we're gonna be checking it over here, and we have to be sure that we're gonna change this condition somewhere inside the while. Otherwise, we're gonna stay here forever. So we're going to set it before we get into the while loop. We're going to check it in the while loop, and we're going to change it in the while. So I'm setting the counter to 1. I'm checking to see if the counter is less than or equal to 10. I'm going to print it, and I'm going to change it. So set, check, change. Or your book is talking about initialize, check, update. So different ways of the while loop. I'm not going to go through this. I'm expecting that you guys already know this stuff. If you don't, you can review it, and you have questions, bring it to the DQ. Let's talk about it. So if we are changing and we are not changing it correctly, we can end up with an endless loop. That's the danger of the while. So instead of going down, if I'm going up, so if my condition never reaches, I'm going to stay there forever. The common is up by 1 error. We have to be sure that we're going to be checking these things. Coming from C++, we always started with 0, going 1 less than the end of it. So if I wanted to do 5, I started from 0 to less than 5. But if I start with 1 and I go less than 5, I'm going to get only 4. So I can go 1 less than or equal 5, or 0 less than 5. And I got to be careful about that. Otherwise, I'm going to have either 1 extra or 1 less. So again, hand tracing, please practice on that at least one time to be sure you understand how to do this. So with the while loop, we can have a sentinel value. So we can be checking for a sentinel value. So in here, we are checking to see if the salary is a negative number. If it's a negative number, we're going to get out. So we're going to ask the user enter salary till it's a negative number. So we're going to stay here as long as they give me a positive salary. As soon as they give me a negative salary, I'm going to get out of this while. So the things that we can do, we can count, we can total, those kind of things. I'm not going to go. So the best way that I like to do while loop is I would do my read outside of my while loop, and then at the last statement in my while loop, I will do that again. So remember I said set, check, change. So I would read my input from the user, and if the first input is negative number, I'm not even going to go through this. So I'm going to read it from the user, and then I'm going to read it at the end here too. So that's what we're going to be doing. We can set a Boolean variable. So we can say while not done, we start with false. So not false is true. And we can go to stay in this while loop till a condition happen. And if that condition happen, we can change our Boolean variable to true. So we can put that one in there for the while loop. I'm not going to go through this storyboard. I suggest you take a look at it. Common loop algorithm, we can do the sum, average, counting matches, prompting until a match is found, maximum, minimum, comparing adjustment values. So those are the examples that is in there. So you can see for the minimum and maximum, we're going to get the first input. We're going to set our minimum or maximum to the first input, and then we're going to go and keep asking for the next input. And depending of the minimum or maximum, we're going to compare it. If we're looking for the minimum, if my number that I'm reading is smaller than my minimum, I'm going to set that to my minimum. So if I'm checking two things next to each other, I'm going to be getting so I'm checking for the empty line. So I'm asking the user to keep entering till we get empty line.